I'm sure that if you ask someone to imagine a typical postcard from Switzerland, they will tell you that they see a mountain, a pasture, and a cow. But let me tell you a secret. Cows have been brought here by shepherds during summertime. Yes, because cows and any other sort of domestic animal experience the so-called transhumance. Transhumance. Well, for a non-native mother tongue, it may turn into a tongue twister. Still, as the Romans and the Greeks will tell us, there is a meaning to every word we pronounce. Transhumance is the fusion of trans, which means across, and humus, which means ground. So it entitles a movement in space, in this case of Earth. For you to know, transhumance is so essential to be recognized by the UNESCO as an intangible heritage to protect. If you read on their site, you will soon come across two types of transhumance: horizontal and vertical. Horizontal refers to the movement across plains, while vertical is between different elevations from valleys to summer pastures. For the sake of this video, we will predominantly focus on the vertical ones, that I will call Alpine transhumance. So now that we need that it's about moving any type of herds from cow to goat, from sheep to yaks, from point A to point B, why is it all needed? First and foremost, it's good for the animal. During the warm season, animals enjoy the pleasure of being outside and breathing fresh air, just like we do. By being in nature, they also become stronger, less stressed, and they live in a more healthy environment overall. During wintertime, they wouldn't be able to survive outside in a temperature and mountainous areas. But as soon as the temperature rises, it's better for them to be out in the fresh air and in a more healthy ground. Then, it's also good for the product they produce, whether it's dairy or meat. The quality of alpine pasture is proven to be better than those in the valleys, providing more nutrients such as omega-3, mainly due to the biodiversity of the grass. On top of this, herds move freely up and down, which transform the fat into muscles. The last main reason is that the space to pasture in the valleys is very limited, and therefore the grass that surrounds the stable is used for haymaking to build food reserves for the herds during winter. Alright, now that we know what it is and why it's necessary, I think it's good to learn about why transhumance occurs at a certain time of the year. And by doing so, we need to learn first the typical year of a domestic herd in the Alps. The calendar works in this way. From October to April, animal stays in the stable. As early as warm temperature arrives, they are brought into the pasture outside the stables in the valleys. From there, it really depends where the alpine pasture is located. At a lower altitude, at around 1000 meters, the herds leave in early May and return back in late September. At mid-altitude, they tend to depart around mid-May and come back around mid-September. And lastly, at about 1,700 meters, they leave in late May and return back in early September. Especially in this last case, the driving up and down could happen with an intermediate stop in the middle of the mountains, where the shepherds and the herds could acclimatize and rest for some weeks. Indeed, don't think that all the staples are right at the bottom of alpine pasture. Today, the majority of the herds travel several kilometers before reaching their summer residence. Trucks helps to alleviate some of their travel, and it's not uncommon that the owner of the herds outsources to a specialized shepherd the care of the animals in the mountains. So despite the fact that this tradition has stayed the same since the Middle Ages, there are some small innovations that have made their way through. Transhumance has historically had a major impact on the communities involved in shaping their way of thinking about the mountains. Just think about the yodel, the alfor, schwingen wrestling, myth, and many other traits that we may relate today to Swiss folklore. Even though they are widespread around the Alps, this has become also more popular with stories like the one of Heidi. Well, it would be a lot to cover for this video, so let me know in the comments below if you're curious to know more about these other topics. For now, let me tell you the one that is directly related to experiences this tradition. I'm talking about the celebration of the driving up and down of the earths, or sometimes called a cow parade. This is by far the event that is mostly connected to transhumance. In spring, the celebration salutes the beginning of the good season, while in autumn is more about the feeling of going back home with the cheese they produced up there. There are hundreds of events happening almost at the same time. Depending on the season, they can either run on these dates in spring or in these other dates in fall. Most of the time, they are highly advertised by local tourist offices, and you can find parades that are more popular than others, or those that are more intimate ones. The choice is yours. Well, this is the end of a nice journey in one of the most traditional events in the Alps. If you love this sort of video, please consider subscribing, as it will help this channel to continue. This is all for my Alpine Academy, the place that helps you to discover the outdoors. See you in the next one, and ciao!